Hi everyone, I'm Lee, and I'm here with Kim, Juji, and Shira. Unfortunately, Taras couldn't be with us today. We are five friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. Throughout history, there have been many transformations that have helped human beings have easier lives. The agricultural revolution, industrial, technological, and most recently, the digital revolution. We are now on the precipice of the most exciting evolutionary step for humanity, the consciousness revolution. One of its cornerstones is mindfulness. Given the harried, hectic, and high-speed lives we live, it's critical now more than ever that we put it into practice. So girls, let's get right into it. What does mindfulness mean to you?
Well, if you guys don't mind, I'll start.
Go, girl.
I think it's actually really interesting the way that you just introduced this, Lee, because you guys remember we did an episode about human design, and a lot of people who have been studying the system for a long time call it an internal revolution, a revolution of one. And we talk all the time here about how it always starts with you. Like everything starts with you, about flipping your perspective on things. And we talk about being present, about being grateful, all of these different things. And I think that it's all encompassing when it comes to knowing yourself, knowing what you need, understanding how you make decisions, and then also understanding that all of your thoughts, when your mind is really, really full, they're not necessarily here to serve you. So when you're conscious of that, when you're conscious of your actions not being necessarily based on the things that are, swirling around in your head, that's when you're able to act with more purpose. And a lot of the time when we talk about mindfulness, we talk about meditation or ways to calm your mind, calm your consciousness so that you are not spiking up and down all the time, but rather more smoothed out as a human being. Shira, I know you love to meditate. I know you have stuff to say about this.
Yeah, I have to say that and this has just taken place over the course of years, everybody wants an immediate solution. How do I de-stress? How do I not, how do I make myself not so busy? How do I slow down my life? And it's like, it takes work, it takes work, but it all starts in here. And one of the biggest transformations for me personally came when I had like a brick on your head moment, when I realized that I'm not my thoughts. Like just saying I am not my thoughts automatically puts like a little space between you and, because when you think about thoughts, it's like, what is that? What exactly, like there's something that's being said in my, well, I can't touch it, but there's words swirling around my head, but like, where's it coming from? And so when you start to be, we love that word curious, right? When you start to go, what is that? What is that thing that I'm hearing? Like, are there two of me? Like you start to really explore. And the more you explore, the more there is to learn. And so when I realized that there's a separation between who I, Shira, am and what I'm thinking, that opened up a whole new world for me of mindfulness, of meditation, of just being present. And it's still, even now, like I've been doing this for 20 years, and it's not like a given that you're just there. You have to be reminded, and you have to do the practice, and you have to do the work. But it does, like with anything, get easier over time. And I just so treasure and value flipping the control of my thoughts controlling me versus me controlling my thoughts. It's a really wonderful paradigm shift when you realize, like, when the thought comes in and you question it and go, excuse me, did I invite you in? No. Okay, bye. Here's some consolation prizes backstage. And it's almost like a little game I play with myself where I notice it, I either let it in or I don't. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of yummy.
Right. So on the flip side of that, Shira, I think you're talking about thoughts that may be negative or not supportive of what you want in your life.
Mhm.
But the good thoughts, how do you respond to that? I mean, there are a lot of good thoughts we have as well, and maybe that's all a part of mindfulness as well. Maybe being, visualizing,
Yeah.
imagining.
I'll just say that most people, and I think human beings in general, are programmed for negativity. It's almost like that's why we're here, to deprogram ourselves. There's something about it. It's kind of insane when you think about it. Like, why is there so much negative thinking in the world? Like, what is that about? I think there's degrees. Some people have like extreme negative self-talk or negative thinking. But the truth is that some people can't get past it through meditation. Some people have to take medication, right? And even when I do my program, I say meditation versus medication.
Yeah, and
Try the meditation first,
that's a great point, because maybe mindfulness is what brings our thoughts to those more positive thoughts.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not so much about whether it's positive or negative. It's about being mindful of what's going on up there, period.
Yeah.
And when you are paying attention and taking that time to be still and present and paying attention to the thought that, say, just popped in your head, that's when I find you're mindful. So, we're always going to have negative thoughts. Hopefully we'll have more positive thoughts, and with mindfulness have more positive thoughts, but it's not even about the thoughts. It's about just paying attention so that you could be mindful of what is going on up there.
Right.
Oh, go ahead, Sharon.
No, I just realized something. Mindful is almost like the wrong word, right? Because when we think of mindful, we think of mind, like full of mind, but really you want to get out of your mind. I just dawned on me that I'm like, why are we calling it mindful? It really should be more like soulful or bodyful. Like you want to get out of the monkey brain thinking. And so one way to do that for people who've never even heard of the concept or done meditation or anything is if you just focus on one breath, literally one inhale and one exhale, if you focus on that, you're out of your mind right there. Right there, you just focus on your breathing and you weren't thinking.
You're out of your mind in a good way.
Your mind in a good way. But so when I do this with my audience, I say, if you can do it for one breath, you can do it for two. And if you could do it for 1 minute, you can do it for two. Does that mean that thoughts won't come back in, whether they're negative or positive or monkey brain or whatever? Absolutely not. The thoughts will come back. But just go back to the breath. Just be kind to yourself and just go back to the breath. The more you do that, and you could do that while you're washing dishes. You can do that while you're driving. You can do that while you're folding laundry. You can do that with what you could turn your chore into a mindfulness practice.
And it doesn't have to be about the breath, although I know that's an amazing place to focus. For me, I shared with you guys recently, you kind of giggled at me when I told you that my doing the dishes was like my therapy, or at least that's what my husband calls it. He's like, have fun, go do your
Come do some therapy at my place. I can give you 2 hours worth of therapy a day.
That's a lot of dishes.
Free.
No, she's saying all her chores, not just the dishes.
Yeah. But for me, it's not that I enjoy doing dishes like it's a passion or something. It's just more of, I love just feeling the warm or hot water. I do this in the shower too. Like, it's a kind of a ritual now for me that when I'm showering and look, I'm cleaning myself. It's something that I have to do, for my hygiene. I'll just stand there and let the hot water run down my back and like just take it in and feel what it's feeling like. And it could be 10 seconds. It kind of doesn't matter, but I get the same sort of sensation when I'm doing the dishes. I just love the water, and I love the feeling of like cleaning something and then it's complete and it's put away, and I can't explain it. It feels really therapeutic to me in some way. But my big thing that I wanted to share was, so I have all these different ways to be mindful, like where I notice that I'm more mindful, not because I know sometimes I could be doing the dishes and my mind is thinking about something in the future. But I just find that when I'm sitting at my desk doing my work every day, I'm not mindful. I'm mindful of what I'm working on. I'm focused, right? But I don't want to be, all day, all night long thinking of the work that I'm doing. So I notice when I get up and I make it a point to walk away from the computer, or it's, time to do the dishes, or it's time to cook myself a meal, or whatever. I could be walking outside, whatever. I just noticed that for me, there's a very clear separation where I find that in the past, my whole day just bled in together. I never felt mindful or present. I just felt like my mind was always just kind of racing, and I don't know what I would think when. But now that I make it such a point to like step away to do these things and purposely leave work over there, right here at my desk, like just leave it over there. Let me go do this thing. I just having that separation is like key. And I'm the one that did that. I'm the one who was like, I don't want to think about work 24/7. I don't want to think about all these crazy things going on in my life 24/7. I want to clear that out and just not think. So when I'm doing the dishes and I'm showering and all those moments, I just like something shuts off. And now it's a little bit more, it happens more naturally now.
Kim, do you know that Esther Hicks, I know she wrote a book called Asking It Is Given, and there's a chapter in there called segment intending. So it's almost like you're intending the next segment. Like, so I'm leaving that, I'm going to do the dishes. I will be with the dishes. Then after I do the dishes, I'm going to take a shower. So I will be with the shower. And then, so it's a mindset of like, whatever I'm doing, there I am. And I'm with it.
Yeah. But yes, that's awesome. And I'm so happy that I've developed that over this past year, because working from home during pandemic, that's what really sparked all this. I used to have a commute. I used to sit on the train, listen to my music, zone out, whatever, talk to someone. Like I'd have my moments of being mindful. And now my whole day is at home. So it's so helpful to have these separation moments. So yes, that's my intention. I love setting an intention. I guess subconsciously I'm doing that. But There's something when I do the dishes or I go for a walk, even anytime I'm exercising, you're focused on the task at hand. So your mind can't go to all these other places.
Oh, it can.
Yeah.
Z, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, like, because we called it a revolution in the beginning of this conversation, it sounds like it's supposed to be this like earth-shattering arrival of a way of being in the world, but it's actually incredibly mundane. And when you start to become really aware of mundane things that bring you joy, or mundane things that maybe don't bring you joy, and so now you're outsourcing them, even though you could do it yourself, doesn't really matter. It's living life. It's your life. Like, being mindful is not about like a specific situation or a specific time. Like, I remember catching myself for the very first time when I first started learning about the fact that my thoughts aren't me, and that not everything that I think is true. And like, I just remember like walking down the street one day and I saw this girl and I was like, her boots are so ugly. And then all of a sudden I was like, who said that? Who just said that? I know that wasn't me, because like, I'm not that person anymore. But I really caught myself in that moment of like, I remember being that negative girl who was like, I'm having a bad day. I don't feel great about myself. I just need to like mentally criticize everybody who's around me, even if it never comes out loud. And I'm like, I don't want to be that girl anymore. But when I caught myself doing it, I remember very specifically, I had a conversation with Kim later on. This was like a few years ago. And I was like, yeah, I used to be a bitch. And Kim was like, I just can't, she's such a sweetheart. She was like, I just can't picture that. That's not true. You're not. And I was like, oh, it's true.
We all have our inner bitch. Come on. That is such a thing.
I know. It was just funny at the time, because what I was really trying to express is that like, I am evolving. I am on this journey. I am seeing better. It's all about seeing what your thoughts can run away with and all of that stuff.
It's so great. I just have to say one quick thing on the heels of what you just said. So just catching yourself is the most important thing you can do. If you do nothing else but catch yourself,
it's all awareness.
Don't change it, just catch yourself. But the other thing about being mindfulness and being aware, so like you just used the example of, I hate, such ugly shoes. But what most of us do is negative talk to ourselves. Like, why'd you say that? Why'd you do that? You're just an idiot. Like that. And I say to myself and others, if other people said to you what you say to yourself, you would smack them. You'd be like, you can't talk to me like that. So that's why the catching is so important, because we start to realize, oh my God, I'm so mean to myself. Like, that's just not okay.
Something I was going to add before I forget was this one sentence that changed so much for me in such subtle ways. It came from Abraham Hicks, and she said to say to yourself, like, she used a personal example, how just there was so much stuff on her mind of stuff she had to do for the business, whatever. And she was like looking at this really long to-do list, and her inner voice said, you don't have to think about that right now. Like, you have a choice. You don't have to think about that right now. That doesn't have to get done right now. So you don't have to think about it. And that just sat with me. I was like, oh my gosh, the amount of things that I used to force myself to think about, well, not force myself. I guess it just naturally, my brain so active. It was like, I had to think about everything right now. And so I say that to myself on a daily basis, multiple times a day. Something will come up that's due next week, and I'm like, I got to get a head start on that. And I'll just come back to, I don't have to think about that right now. It's not something I have to think about right now or today. And there's something so freeing about those words when you talk to yourself like that. And that's the whole catching it thing you were talking about. When you can catch a thought, whether it's I'm stupid or, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. Like, I'm just, my mind is so busy, and I feel very over being so busy. And so it's exhausting. So I've just been like challenging my mind lately more than ever. And it is such a liar.
Yeah.
It tells me a lot of lies.
It's a discipline.
I love how, there's a discipline to it. And I love how like there's a common denominator of like catching ourselves and being aware and hearing ourselves talk or think. And mindfulness for me comes in so many different ways. And I guess for all of us really, like, Kim, I also sometimes find myself doing a long walk or a run, and that may be my therapy for that moment or the day. And other days my mind is racing as I'm running. And but for me, like what calms me is I've been, doing some meditating as well. And it definitely is such a practice, because it's not, I'm always thinking I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm not where I want to be yet with the meditating. I don't know. I'm looking for some, miracles to happen, and I'm still intending on finding those miracles. But little by little, I know I've made progress with the meditating. I know it calms me. It makes me feel better. I sometimes do breathing. I sometimes journal. Sometimes just calling a friend to get it all out, that in and of itself can be very therapeutic and calming, and as we all know. But I think it's all this the awareness. If we are evolving in a way that we want to be better people for others and for ourselves, that's where all of this comes in. It's like we have to start being different, thinking different, and doing whatever we can find to get ourselves there.
Yeah.
Awareness really is key, for sure.
Yeah.
This is an amazing thing because, and I figured we'd wrap up with a couple of tips that I wanted to offer everybody. But when you think about it, it's a very personal journey, right? Like the digital revolution, technology, like we're all benefiting from it. But the consciousness revolution is like each of us has to do the work, and then collectively we'll see the results over time. I mean, this stuff, it just takes time. Even within your lifetime, it takes time. So a couple of the things that really have helped me is something called smell the soup, blow on the soup, right? So what you do is you close your eyes, you imagine your favorite bowl of soup, just piping hot, sitting right in front of you. And you close your eyes and you smell it. can almost actually smell it. Like if it's pea soup, I'm like, yeah, I know what pea soup smells like, right? And then you blow on the soup, and then you smell the soup and you blow on the soup. And so if you do that a few times, you kind of get into this breathing rhythm. It's similar to being aware or focusing on your breathing, but you're also adding visualization into it. So that's helpful. So smell the soup, blow on the soup. What was that?
I like that. With lobster bisque, maybe.
Yeah, oh yeah, whichever one you want. And if you don't like soup, picture something else that you could smell in and blow on, whatever.
I'm getting hungry.
Meatballs. And then another one you can do is in cold, out warm, right? Again, with the breath. But when you breathe in through your nose, it's cold. And when you breathe out, you can literally put your hand here and go, oh my God, it's warm. It's in cold, out warm. So it's almost like a mantra, right? In cold, out warm. So that's another way to get yourself out of your mind. And then something that I have done, which is, I mean, it's like my absolute go-to when I meditate every day, minimum half an hour before I even get out of bed, is called the third eye, right? So what I do is, and I didn't even know this was a thing. I just started doing it because I felt so relaxed that I felt, so with your eyes closed, you sort of pretend that not pretend, but you look at the bridge of your nose. So it's almost like you're crossing your eyes with your eyes closed. And it just takes you to this more of like like your energy just drops a little bit. And then the more you do it, I don't know if you want to practice right now with me, but with your eyes closed, look at the bridge of your nose. Almost feels like you're falling into an abyss a little bit. That practice has helped me so much because I'm able to get myself so deep into that space. It's like an exploration. Sometimes I almost imagine that I'm in outer space with my eyes closed and I'm looking into outer space and I feel like I'm floating. So there's no right or wrong way to do any of this. You can do it sitting, you can do it laying down, you can do it with your eyes closed, you can do it with your eyes open, you can do it a walking meditation, you can do a driving meditation. Don't do the driving one with your eyes closed. But there really are so many ways. You can do it guided, you can do it with music, without music. It's just whatever works for you, and it might change over time. It's changed over time for me. I've done it in different ways. So whatever practice you choose to take, I just ask you to be kind to yourself and patient with yourself, and don't beat yourself up because you're going to go to thought no matter what you do. But the more you do it, the longer the spaces of not thinking will be.
Shira,
Wow, thank you for that, Shira. And Kim, did you have something else to say?
no, I would love to experience it right now on the call with our audience for like, I don't know, a minute or 30 seconds. Like, would you guys want to do that?
Oh, I thought we just did, but that's fine. Let's do it.
Oh, I didn't close my eyes and do it.
Oh, all right. I thought.
Yeah, she said if you guys want to try it now.
That was like a second.
Whatever you guys want. You want to do a minute?
Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to take those tools and I'll do them on my own. I love the soup. Chicken noodle all the way.
Yeah. When you rewatch this, Kim, you'll see. All right, ladies. Anyway, this is a great place for us to wrap it up. If you love our conversations, please click and like and subscribe to our channel. Tell a friend, spread the word. Please also let us know if you have any comments or questions, or if there's a topic you would like to request. We'll see you soon, and stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.